Our programs offer many languages. Please visit suprememastertv.com/schedule.
I am here today with the honor of God's permission and endowment to remind us, our fathers and mothers, and brothers and sisters, and little brother, little sisters, that we should remember our whole being, and I show you how. It is very simple to remember. More simple than breathing, more simple than eating.
Please stay with us to find out more. Supreme Master Ching Hai's lectures are not a complete meditation instruction. Please do not try alone. For free of charge guidance, please visit godsdirectcontact.org or contact any of our centers near you.
Today's program will be presented in English with subtitles in Arabic, Aulacese, also known as Vietnamese, Chinese, Dutch, English, French, German, Hebrew, Hindi, Hungarian, Indonesian, Italian, Japanese, Korean, Mongolian, Persian, Polish, Portuguese, Punjabi, Romanian, Russian, Spanish, Thai, Turkish, and Urdu. Hello, loving viewers. I'm Kaudi. The kind people of New Zealand are in awe of your kind-hearted efforts toward our animal friends. May peace blossom in the hearts of all beings with heaven's grace. The South Pacific island nation of New Zealand has two main islands, the North and the South, along with many other smaller islands. The country's residents originate from a rich blend of cultures, with indigenous Maori, as well as European, Pacific Island, and Asian influences. As the island's first inhabitants, the Maori people have a history, language, and traditions that are central to the New Zealand way of life. Many Maori sacred areas are preserved as historic sites, and the Maori people also have representation in the nation's parliament. The islands are diverse and spectacular. More than 20% of the country's land is dedicated to national parks, forest areas, and reserves, with terrain that ranges from lofty mountain peaks to sheltered ocean bays. These natural areas are inhabited by abundant native flora and fauna. Protected species include unique flightless birds like the kiwi, takahe, and the herbivorous owl parrot, or kakapo, which can live for about 100 years. During her Ocean of Love lecture tour in 2000, Supreme Master Ching Hai accepted the invitation of sincere truth aspirants to visit this beautiful country and share God's wisdom and love. Please enjoy part 5 of the following insightful lecture titled The Reunion of Souls, delivered by Supreme Master Ching Hai in Auckland, New Zealand on April 27, 2000.
I'd like now to invite the Supreme Master Ching Hai to the stage, where we will ask her to speak some words to you, and then we'll have the fruit and flower ceremony to begin. Thank you, Master. If you please come to the stage.
Tina Tuku, thank you so much. God bless you. I'm very, very touched and honored. Thank God for giving me this chance to visit your beautiful land and getting to know your beautiful races of people. And thank you for coming. I guess everybody is very touched, so I also thank the New Zealand brothers and sisters who have been working very hard to make this beautiful evening a special memory. Thank you, and God bless your land, your people, and bless all the wishes that you have in your dreams. If you already know what you want to ask, you can write it already and hand it out so that we can answer it right away later, yeah? So you don't have to wait until we finish. Somebody can walk up and down and collect questions. All right, because you know already, before I begin, I think you know why you are here. Everyone wants to know what God is. And everyone wants to know where we come from. And that's the reason why we came here, actually. That's the reason why we came to this planet, the so-called planet, physical planet. Even though, at the same time, we are connected with heaven and spiritual planets, if we call that. But because we have forgotten the connection, so many of us, or most of us, have just recognized this physical presence and this physical life we call human life. In fact, we are not just human. We are also spiritual beings. We are highly developed beings. At the same time, we are living here. We are also living in different levels of consciousness. We are also doing so many great things. But it is difficult for most of us to realize that. Our ancestors, for example, the ancestors of the Maori people that you have just seen, that they have sung so beautiful songs, so spiritually developed, so highly elevated, so soully songs, because our ancestors has known a different level of spirituality than some of us do today. But we still can develop this quality again. Not really develop, we can still remember it again. Because what we once had, we will not lose it. It just sometimes we forget. So in order for us to remember, we should, I will give you some practical experience after I explain a little, if you would like to. Because if we experience it ourselves, it's better than thousands of theoretical words. But I feel I should introduce it a little bit, even though God is not to be explained in language. But just like the Maori ancestors, they have known God. They have known spiritual levels that exceed our language, that go beyond our ordinary understanding. Therefore, they could express themselves in poetry, in music, in songs, which are so beautiful, so out of ordinary, and so touching to the soul when you hear it. It is because they express their own inner level of enlightenment. For lack of this inner enlightenment, of because of forgetting this inner enlightenment and our true selves, we often cannot express ourselves in beautiful ways, in the way that we would like ourselves to express. And we sometimes could not behave or react in such a way that we would like ourselves to do. It is because we have forgotten the inner connection. We have forgotten that our lives, our so-called being, is greater, longer, and higher, and more multiple faces, multiple qualities, multiple expressions than just this physical being that we know ourselves to be. We have forgotten that. For example, the whole being here is me, like from head to toe. Yes, the whole being. I'm not just the toe, I'm not just the finger, I'm not just the forehead. The whole being is me. But if I just remember my toes or my fingers, then I am not complete. Then it's not me, it's not complete. Similarly, if we just remember that we are a physical human being, then we are not complete. I am here today with the honor of God's permission and endowment to remind us, our fathers and mothers, brothers and sisters, and little brother, little sisters, that we should remember our whole being. And I show you how. It is very simple to remember. More simple than breathing, more simple than eating. Breathing, sometimes we have difficulty. If we have a blocked nose, we can't breathe. Eating, if we have indigestion, we can't eat. Or if we don't have enough money to buy food, we are also in trouble. But spiritual wealth is always there. We always have it. It's just we too busy looking at outside, remembering our physical body, taking care of too many mundane duties. The world makes us very, very concentrate in the physical and material aspects that we have hardly time to remember our 99% of our being, which is higher, greater, more powerful, more miraculous, more wondrous, more everything, more holy, more divine, more beautiful, more happy, more blessed, more blissful. Everything that is godly, that is us. All the teachers have come here, they told us like that we are the temple of God, and God lives here. God lives there. So all we see here is God, or at least God's manifestation individually, differently. But we have forgotten that God quality, that God's nature of ourselves, and we just remember this small part of our being, which is the human side of ourselves. Just like because I like this ring so much, I keep looking at the ring and I just remember this finger all the time, and I forget everything else about myself. And this is not how we should do it. So that is why we don't know God, because we have forgotten to look where we should look. That is all. That is why we often tell people enlightenment is immediate, because you're already there. Suppose that I'm sitting here and I'm looking at the finger now. How long does it take me to know myself? If I don't look here, how long does it take me? 1 second, right? Not even. Okay, as long as I don't look here, I remember again, here I am. All of this is me. Yes. It's very simple. Therefore, no one is your teacher. I'm not coming here to be your teacher because you are already divine. I have also forgotten. At the age of 3 or 4, we begin to forget. Sorry, my English is getting rotten. You see, even English I've forgotten. Because I speak so many languages every day, the Chinese, the Vietnamese, sometimes German, sometimes French, everything. And I forgot English also. Similarly, I even forgot Vietnamese. Yes, I don't speak as fluently as when I was in Vietnam, and I don't speak Chinese as fluently as when I was still in Taiwan, because we're out of practice. Similarly, if we do not try to remember the great being that we truly are, then we will forget. And that's why it is very easy to forget, and also it is easy to remember. I'm coming here to remind you of the good news that I have remembered, myself. So we can all remember anytime we want. And should we choose to stay in forgetfulness, this is also fine. It's also fine. Because you are divine. You are God. I'm sorry if I might shock you in any way, but that's what you are. If you don't believe me, look back in the Bible, and the Buddhist scriptures say you are the Buddha. Buddha nature is inside you. The Bible says God lives within this temple. So who is in there? Who else except God? If we are only the temple and God is the only one who lives in there, who are we then? Except we are God. Okay, we don't remember, fine, but we still are God. So whatever we choose to do, the God of all gods that we are, respect that. The Father of all of these beings, which we are, respects our wish and our choice to live, to express our divine selves in whichever way we want. That is why Jesus told us we do not judge people, because we do not know what is the path that being has chosen to walk. He does his things so that he might come to know God in a different way. He might choose to be a seemingly bad person. He might choose to be a seemingly very lowly person. He might choose to be seemingly a very so-called immoral person. But that is his way of knowing the divine. By choosing to be ungodly, he will one day know that this is not him. He has to go back and learn that the whole being again. Because if we always stay in heaven and we are God all the time, we will not recognize ourselves as God. So we need to lower ourselves. For example, come down to this physical level so that we can once again recognize the greatness of ourselves. And that is our choice. And that's why we came here. So the answer to our question, why are we here, is because we want to know God. So when we feel that the time is up, it's a time that we choose to remember ourselves again. That is the time when we come to seek out spiritual friends, spiritual groups, or maybe spiritual teachers, as we call them, so that we can remember quickly, because we have forgotten how to remember and where to look for. So some friend who has already remembered himself or herself may be able to help us. And then we recognize that we are nothing else but the Supreme Being, but God. We recognize the Supreme Being that lives that is housed within this body. But actually, he's not housed within the body. He housed our body. But then again, because spiritual terminology is never a very exact science, so no matter how much a teacher tells us about God, how eloquently a spiritual friend might express about the divine being within ourselves, we cannot just understand by listening. So the spiritual friend or a teacher or the guide or a friend have to show us practically, not just theoretically. For example, when Jesus came to our planet, he taught his disciples both ways, theoretical way and practical way. And that's why later his immediate disciples could also do wonders, could also see heaven, could also hear the voice of God, the word of the Creator, could also see the light of heaven, could ascend to heaven and even see the angels or see the Father. The Father spoke to them, like Father spoke to Moses, and the angels also spoke to them. Likewise, we could do that. Because as great as Jesus' disciples, we are also great. We and Jesus' disciples, same, equally. Because Jesus said to us that we are all children of God. But because we have forgotten, so sometimes one friend, two friends have to come to remind us, but only when we are ready. Because if we are not ready, no one can do much for us.
Benevolent viewers, we appreciate your presence today for words of wisdom. Coming up next is The Noble Wilds, exploring Supreme Master Ching Hai's Vegan International Bestseller, Part 3 of 5, right after noteworthy news. Please stay tuned to Supreme Master Television for more uplifting programs. In the immense love of heaven, may your spiritual aspirations be ever fulfilled.
Our programs offer many languages. Please visit suprememastertv.com/schedule and suprememastertv.com/WOW.
Nos programmes offrent plusieurs langues. Veuillez visiter suprememastertv.com/schedule et suprememastertv.com/WOW.
Nuestros programas ofrecen varios idiomas. Visiten suprememastertv.com/schedule y suprememastertv.com/WOW.
番組は多言語放送です。放送予定はスプリームマスター TV.com/スケジュール、そしてスプリームマスター TV.com/WOW